you have trouble in your garden with insect pests every year, such as like Japanese beetles, cucumber beetles, grubs, fungus gnats, borers, all of the above, then this video is for you. Today I'll show you in biological treatment which you can apply right now in spring to knock out those soil-borne pests before they can emerge and reduce them dramatically so you have a lot easier garden season. It is safe for kids and pets and it's really easy to apply. I'll show you how to do it, when I do it, for what it's good. It works for a lot of things but not everything. And yeah, let's get going. I'm Stephanie, a home gardener here in Attleboro, Massachusetts. It's on 6 and I'd love to take you along for the ride. So welcome to my channel. So what is this magical treatment we're talking about here? We're talking about beneficial nematodes. What are beneficial nematodes? They are in biological treatment made up of like microscopic roundworms which are already existing in the soil. So it's nothing new or nothing special what you add to the soil. I think of it as giving the existing army of roundworms in the soil just a few more soldiers to help them fend off those pests. And what they do is they find the pests, like that's a little bit of the gross part, invade them, release some bacteria, kill them from the inside and reproduce in it. So it's a little bit gross, but nature does its thing at times, right? So for that reason, that is what they do. What types of beneficial nematodes exist? There are different types, many different types. I'm not exactly sure how many different types. I'll work with the beneficial nematodes from Arbico Organics. It's not sponsored. I just love them. They have been a really great source of them, and it works like magic with the quality nematodes they provide. They have, I think, 3 main nematode types. Don't make me try to pronounce their names. I will butcher it. So I'll go with a short abbreviation. They have the HB, the SF, and the SC string as different varieties of beneficial nematodes, and each different variety or each different type has a different area of pest they address. In that case, if you want to like combine a couple of them, you can do that. That's what I do. I use the HB and the SF in my garden for what I see and what I come across throughout the season in the garden. Those ones are the 2 which have worked for me very well in combo applied. And I have in the description a link to the website of Arbico Organics where they show what you need for which type of pest in terms of string or type of nematode to get rid of them. So that's really what I can recommend to go through. Write down what pests are the most annoying ones for you and then see if they can be addressed with beneficial nematodes. That works really well, and you will be probably surprised on how many you can treat with beneficial nematodes, because a lot of the garden pests we see year after year are soil-borne pests, which means they harbor over in the winter in the soil in form of grubs or some caterpillars whatsoever. So those ones can be treated with that, which is amazing. Where can you buy it? I mentioned already, I buy it with Arbico Organics. There are other providers out there. Just Google it. Again, I've never had any bad experience with Arbico Organics, so for that reason, I would highly recommend them. It's not a cheap treatment, but for the time and the effort you usually take under the season to get rid of the pests, I think it's worth the investment. Where and how to use them in New England in our climate, right? So you want to apply them in spring. Arbico Organics says you can also apply them in fall to knock out what has been settled in throughout the season in the soil again. For me, in my case, I always do just one spring application, and that has been good enough for the purpose I wanted to do with it. So be your own judge and see what you need to treat and how severe it is to make a good decision there. What is important though for the time window is that you want to do it in a time window where you have temperatures between 40 and maximum of 85 degrees. Over it, you will fry them before they get into the soil. Under it, they are not active enough and probably die off because it's too cold and also not doing their thing. So for us, typically, we aim to do this in the first couple weeks of May. which we did this year, and this has worked very well. The other thing which you need to consider is that those beneficial nematodes are living organism, which means you got to apply them very shortly after you bought them. So when you buy them with RBK Organic, they only ship under the week to make sure that they can ship overnight, or I think with 2-day shipping, they will arrive very fast. You got to refrigerate them. So you got to put them in the fridge to make sure that they don't die. But you want to apply them really, really shortly after you got them. So that takes a little bit of planning ahead, that you truly have the time to do that and to go through it. And then the other thing what you need to know is once you want to apply them, they get applied with water. That's the important part here. You want to make sure that you have a lawn which is cut short, that it's wet when you apply them, and that you water them in afterwards. So there's a lot of water involved, but for a good reason, because those microscopic organisms need to make it down to the soil, and water is the best way to really make them seep into the soil. So what is the best strategy to do that? In the years past, I used one of those like pump sprayers, which was a little bit of a pain, I gotta say, especially for the size of property we have here. We do it for the entire lawn, front lawn, my garden pieces, so everything where we go walk or grow something in it. And that is half an acre here, which we have. So it's not a small space. So doing it with a 2-gallon pump sprayer was a little bit of a tedious exercise. So this year we switched to a backpack pump sprayer, which was surprisingly affordable. It was like a no-brand one, which also had a battery, and it made it so much more easy. I have that one link below as well. I can highly recommend it. The only thing what we found while we're using it, we don't think that battery flap will last, but it's not mission critical. It's just to cover it up, making it in the same color. That looked a little flimsy in our perspective, but again, it won't disrupt using this pump sprayer in any shape or form. So we thought it was a good value for the money which we paid. So one thing which is important in the preparation is to know how many fillings of the pump sprayer of your choice you will need to cover your property. In our case, we know with a small 2-gallon pump sprayer, we need about 5 to 6 loads to make it through everything, which was then easy math with the larger pump backpack, which is 4-gallon, to just cut it in half. And that is also where we ended up. I think we ended up exactly at like 2.5 or a little bit less than 2.5 loads to go through. Why is that important is when you get the beneficial nematodes, it comes in a powder form, which is dissolvable in water, but you need to know how many portions you need to apply an equal amount of nematodes with the pump sprayer. Let me say it again. You want to have the beneficial nematodes split up in as many portions you need to fill up your pump sprayer again. In our case, I split it up in 3 different portions. I just weighed it on our kitchen scale. I usually cover it up with some plastic wrap just in case, even though I clean it after, but just for the peace of mind, right? And then I just measure how much weight the full package is, and then divide it by the number I need it and put it in little plastic bags. And that is how I do it. This also helps you then with the little plastic bags to put the remaining ones, which are waiting for the next round of spray, to just put them back in the fridge and keep them safe in there. So that's the process we've been doing here. And again, it works very well. And once you have it separated in the number of baggies you need it, then you can go and fill up your pump sprayer. And then you go and wet the lawn. We did it right after the rain. That is how you can save yourself a step if the lawn is already wet. To do that, or in the morning dew, that will help as well. That will save you the step of watering the lawn first, and then you spray it and then water it in. But again, it needs a lot of water to really work and make the nematodes go down into the soil. With that also, you don't want to do it in the middle of the day when the sun is burning down and the grass is already drying over before you had a chance to water it in straight. Typically how we do it, I'll go with the sprayer and Mr. Grown in England follows me behind with the water. And that is how we work ourselves through the garden, step by step, through everything. The interesting thing with beneficial nematodes is you can't see it working, right? It happens in the soil. It's hidden from the plain eye view on what they do. But for us, one indication is that we don't see ticks in the yard anymore. That was the main reason why we started experimenting with beneficial nematodes, because we want to get rid of the ticks in our yard, and it works like magic. It is the most effective treatment, non-chemical, which I have seen. And you know, Maggie, she likes to flop around in the yard and under the trees, and like ticks were always crawling on her and she was dragging them into the house. Nobody wants to deal with that, right? So for that reason, beneficial nematodes have been a game changer for us ever since we've applied them. Typically it takes 1 to 2 weeks to recognize that you don't see any ticks in the garden anymore. And now it's already been 1 week since we applied it. I couldn't see anything yesterday while I was planting out, which was gorgeous. So make sure you follow the right steps to apply the nematodes and apply them right after you get them, and you should be safe that they will be working. And I know a lot of you are tortured by Japanese beetles, and you will be probably amazed how little you will see through the year once you have applied that. What are some other questions I typically get around beneficial nematodes? Do they do any harm to earthworms or anything? No, they don't. They live in harmony with the other creatures in the soil. And if you don't trust me, you can come over and dig my soil around. I have plenty of earthworms living happily ever after in my soil without any issues there. They do stick around in the soil. So for example, last year we didn't apply anything because after 3 years in a row, it didn't feel like we didn't see any ticks or anything last year. So we skipped a year, and I gotta say, I haven't seen any other pests really coming back in large numbers, but this spring we did see ticks again. So for that reason, we're back on schedule with that one. And yeah, I am a huge believer. I love them. They're helping me to stay on top of my Simplicity Garden goal for the year, because it's like a one-time effort to really dampen the load of insect pests in the garden, which are so born for the entire garden year. And that is something which I can get after. You basically break the life cycle of a lot of those insect pests, and it just helps me to stay on top of my garden through the year. So I hope this video was interesting to you. Let me know if you have any questions. I feel there might be some. I always love to chat with you in the comments. Otherwise, subscribe and watch another video. Thank you.